The 2020 Town Caucus will now come to order. I'm Kari Maitari, and under Mass General Laws, Chapter 53, Section 118, as Town Clerk, I shall preside until a chair is elected by the caucus. I now declare the meeting open for nominations for Chair of the Caucus. Are there any nominations for Chair of the Caucus? Yes. We have a nomination for, yes? We have a nomination for Tom McCain of 138 Nishotic Road. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, is there a motion to close the nominations? Is there a second? There's a second. Is there a second? Yes. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The motion carries to close nominations. All those in favor of Thomas McCain as chair of this caucus, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. I declare that Tom McCain has been elected to serve as chair of this caucus. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Tom McCain, and I will report in the following. I've inspected the notice of the caucus for compliance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 53, Section 118, and find it is in order. The notice was posted in 7 locations throughout Concord, and was distributed electronically to subscribers of news and notices. And I have determined that there is a quorum present of at least 25 voters. I will now call for the nomination of a clerk of the caucus. Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing no nominations, is there a motion to close the nominations? Is there a second? All those in favor of closing the nomination say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries to close the nomination. All those in favor of Ruth Lauer as clerk of the caucus, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. I declare that Ruth Lauer has been elected clerk of the caucus. The purpose of the caucus is to nominate a candidate or candidates for each office to be filled. The offices to be filled tonight for this year are as follows: 1 moderator for a 1-year term, 1 member of the select board for a 3-year term, and 1 member of the school committee for a 3-year term. The caucus procedure is prescribed by Mass General Laws, Chapter 53, Section 121, and is as follows. If more than 1 person is nominated for an office, the 2 persons receiving the highest number of votes cast shall be declared nominated for such office by the caucus. If the voting results in a tie vote among candidates receiving the smallest number of votes, which, but for the tie, would have entitled the person receiving such a number to appear as a nominee, all candidates participating in such a tie vote shall be the nominees. If a person receives less than 8% of the votes of those voting for nominees, he or she shall not be declared the nominee. I propose that the caucus adopt the following motion, as has been done in the past. It shall be the rule of the caucus that if the number of persons nominated as candidates for an office does not exceed twice the number of persons to be elected to such office, the chair shall, unless there is a request from a voter at the caucus that a ballot be taken, declare such persons to be the nominee of the caucus for such office. I'd ask that such motion be seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carries. We shall receive nominations in the order listed, the first being the moderator, then Select Board than the school committee. For each office, I ask that the nominators come forward and draw numbers for the order of the nomination. Each speaker is to state his or her own name and address. Nominators to write nominee's name and address on the whiteboard and make a nominating speech. A seconder is required, but a seconding speech is optional. If only 2 candidates for each position, the chair will declare them to be the nominees of the caucus, assuming the above rule was adopted. So I would ask for the nominations for moderator. Do we have any nominations? Yes, please. Yes, Linda. If you would. We appreciate the good handwriting. And perhaps make the announcement, if you would. Identify yourself and name and address.
Good evening. I'm Linda Miller from 300 Main Street in Concord, and I'm proud to nominate our neighbor and friend, Carmen C. Reese of 52 Devon Street, for the position of town moderator. I first met Carmen on a soccer field, a typical Concord story. Carmen was coaching, and she's a very good coach. The qualities that make a great town youth sports coach actually mirror, in my mind, those of a great town moderator. Number 1, patience. 2, know the rules, especially that one regarding offsides, which I have never mastered. Communicate well. Understand your audience, demonstrate respect for your teammates and your opponents, and civility towards the spectators and the refs, and efficiently get to goal. This nomination would represent Carmen's re-election to a 5th one-year term as moderator in 2020. Carmen has lived in Concord for more than 30 years, and she and her husband, Eric Green, have raised 5 children here. Throughout her long history as a volunteer in Concord, she's demonstrated many of our values. At the beginning, Carmen was a weekly volunteer in the Alcott School Library. She served on the Friends of Concord playgrounds, and as mentioned earlier, was a town soccer coach. She was appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. After that, Carmen was elected to 2 3-year terms as Select Board member, and then to 4 one-year terms as moderator. As a member of the Select Board, Carmen represented Concord on the School Building Committee for the Minuteman Vocational Technical High School, and also on the Hanscom Area Towns Committee. At the state level, Carmen served on the Mass Municipal Association's Fiscal Policy Committee and on the board of the Mass Moderators Association. Professionally, Carmen is a partner in Resolutions LLC, a Boston firm specializing in dispute resolution, and she has been recognized in the American Lawyer as one of the nation's top lawyers in her field of mediation. Carmen well represents Concord's history and character. As a moderator, she demonstrates and sets expectations for informed, thoughtful, and respectful deliberation on the issues that come before town meeting. She effectively balances full and fair discussion with sensible and efficient time management. In appointing members of the Finance Committee, which is a responsibility of the town moderator, Carmen has aimed at a balance of viewpoints that reflect Concord as a whole. She's committed to exploring ways to better town meeting, such as in identifying, testing, and evaluating new technology and logistics, and she is committed to foster increased voter participation. So please join me and support Carmen Reese for Concord Town Moderator. Thank you.
Do we have a second to that nomination?
Hi, I'm Mark Hansen. I live at 340 Holdenwood Road in Concord. I'm delighted to second the nomination of Carmen C. Reese of 52 Devon Street for the position of Town Moderator, a position which is key to the effective conduct of our annual town meeting. The Massachusetts Constitution states, quote, "The people have a right to, in an orderly and peaceful manner, to assemble and to consult upon the common good and give instructions to their representatives." Town meeting is where we decide the direction of our town. Town meeting gives us an opportunity to get informed about issues facing our town and to participate in discussions. Carmen's skills at keeping the discussion at a high level and at promoting an even-handed discussion are why I hope you will join me in supporting Carmen Reese for Town Moderator. Thank you.
Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, there's a motion to close the nominations. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor of closing the nomination say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion carries to close the nominations. And as there's only one, I would declare that the caucus has nominated Carmen Reese for moderator. Carmen, do you want to say a few words? That's what I call a few words. Now we would open the floor to nominations for the Select Board. There's a one-member opening for a 3-year term. Do I have any nominations? Yes, please. Are there other, more than one nomination? Okay, so I guess we have to do the order first.
Apologies for my handwriting not being as eloquent as your predecessor, but hopefully you can read that. My name's Gary Kleiman. I live at 57 Central Street in Concord, Mass., and I am pleased to nominate Matthew Johnson of 21 Winthrop Street for a seat on Concord's Select Board. Serving alongside Matt on the Planning Board, I've had a chance to not only hear his vision for improving the town of Concord through various planning initiatives, but I've also had the opportunity to see him in action, working with him as we developed various approaches to land use planning and long-range planning that would serve the town well. All of this planning is certainly a useful endeavor that's responsible for many of the town amenities that we all enjoy today, but I think any current or former select board member knows that the devil is in the details and that it's implementation that is the true challenge that requires both determination and collaboration to see projects through. Matt has demonstrated effective implementation, sponsoring bylaws that respect our town traditions, values, and principles, that balance progress with equity and affordability, and that are based on practical implementation approaches, feasible within the unique constraints and challenges that face a small town like Concord. Matt has continually given his time and energy to make his community, our town, a better place to live. He cares deeply about Concord, having met his wife here, raising his 3 daughters here. In fact, much of his extended family now lives here too. When I reviewed Matt's platform online, I found it striking, while not at all surprising, that his campaign platform centers around issues of village vibrancy, economic diversity, physical and social connectivity, and environmental sustainability and resilience. I find it striking because as co-chair of the town's long-range plan committee, I can tell you that these are exactly the core values that are near and dear to so many of the majority of Concordians. So Matt starts his campaign with the right focus, and he's uniquely equipped to deliver on the promise of the many, many plans and possibilities that are contained in Envision Concord. Matt stands ready to manage our cultural, historical, and scenic assets in ways that preserve the unique town and village character that's developed over the centuries, but also recognize the needs of local businesses today and for development opportunities to expand foot traffic and economic resilience for our village centers. Matt's also walked the walk on equity, putting forth zoning articles to limit mansionization and to provide affordable housing choices while supporting zero-based budgeting and tax fairness. Matt's campaign is focused on both physical and social connectivity, recognizing that by bringing people together, we not only meet their needs, but build stronger and healthier communities. Finally, Matt's unique, I think, in the town of Concord for having supported with relatively equal passion initiatives both to reduce fossil fuel usage and increase landscape resilience. A lot of those in the environmental community find themselves on one side of that fence or the other, but Matt supports both. And it's for all of these reasons that I nominate, and I hope you'll consider joining me in supporting Matt Johnson for Select Board.
Do we have a seconder to that nomination? Yes, please, Tom.
I'm Tom Tarpey, 169 Heathsbridge Road. It's pretty difficult to add to such a thorough recommendation and nomination as was just delivered by Gary Kleiman, so I thought it'd be useful to couch the seconding of Matt's nomination in strictly personal terms. Over the years we've known each other, Matt and I have enjoyed conversing on a wide variety of topics: national and local politics, environmental perils, science and technology, and on more than a few occasions about wine. Through all of these various discussions, a few personality traits have remained prominent. Critical thinking. Matt loves gathering and sifting facts. Probity, which one dictionary defines as the quality of having strong moral principles, honesty, and decency. Directness and outspokenness. If Matt thinks you're wrong, as he has for me on many occasions, he'll let you know, but he'll do so invariably in a kind and tactful manner. So kind and tactful are 2 more adjectives you can add to the list. Matt is even-tempered, a very valuable quality in a member of the Select Board. And above all, he is good-humored. I hope you'll join me in my support of Matt Johnson in the caucus's vote for the Select Board candidacy nomination tonight, as well as voting for him at the town elections in March. Thank you.
Have the other nomination? If you would raise this up.
Hello. I didn't really know his address before tonight, but my name's John Brady. I live at 105 Lexington Road. I've lived here for 27 years and know a lot of you folks. It is my honor and privilege to nominate Henry Jane, Esquire, as a candidate to succeed Mike Lawson on the Board of Selectmen. Henry has been a resident of the town since 1967. He has raised 4 children who attended Concord Public Schools and graduated. He has been very successful practicing Concord lawyer, has been active in many town affairs, and has strong ties to many community organizations. He has represented both the school committee and housing authority for many years, served as the chair of the selection committee for the superintendent of schools in 2003, provided leadership for Rotary projects, including the MedFlight facility at Emerson Hospital, the War Memorial, the U.S. Concord Bell in Monument Square. As an officer, director, and attorney for the Beatty Center, he successfully completed negotiations with the town, school committee, and their respective council to overcome the obstacles to the private construction of a public facility. Mr. Dane's experience with town government comes from hundreds of appearances before the Planning Board, Board of Appeals, Board of Health, HDC, Historical Commission, and the Select Board on matters large and small on behalf of the hospital, the Housing Authority, the Rotary, business owners, and Concord citizens. I believe there's a need on the board for members such as Mr. Dane with the institutional and historical knowledge and the practical, legal, and governmental experience to make a positive and useful addition to the board and a benefit to the town of Concord. Thank you.
Is there a second to that nomination? Yes, please.
My name is Dan Schrager, 24 Mallard Drive, and it's my privilege to second the nomination of Henry Dane as selectman. I've known Henry since I moved to town 27 or so years ago. Met him on the baseball diamond, where he was tremendously helpful with coaching. But Henry, through the years, has always been a resource for me in terms of giving a measured view of town issues. And he's one of the people who can see many sides of situations. And ultimately, I think he comes to resolution in a thoughtful and measured way. He has been involved with the town in many ways, the Concord Rotary, Concord Business Partnership, Beatty Center. Henry just seems to be a part of town that makes Concord Concord. So in the interest of brevity and not having prepared notes, I will second Henry proudly.
Thank you. Henry, if you just want to stand and say hi to the folks. And are there any other nominations for the Select Board? Having adopted the rule that if the number of persons nominated as candidates for an office does not exceed twice the number of persons to be elected to such office, the chair shall, unless there is a request from a voter at the caucus that a ballot be taken, declare such persons as the nominees of the caucus for such office. Is there any request that there be a ballot taken on this? Not seeing any, I will declare that, well, first of all, I guess declare that the nominations process is closed. Do I have a motion to close the nominations for a Select Board? Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. All against? I'll declare that the nominations are closed, and pursuant to that rule, unless I hear a request that a ballot be taken, I'll declare that the two nominations are, will be the nominees of the caucus for the Select Board. We will now move to the what? Well, we'll have them both stand at the same time, I guess. Please. We will now move to nominations for members of the school committee, one member, a 3-year term. Do I have any nominations for that position? Please. Are there any other nominations? Yes, if you're two nominations, we have to do an order.
Tom Tarpey, 169 Heathsbridge Road. It's my pleasure to nominate Fatima Mesdad as a candidate for Concord School Committee. Fatima was born in Algeria, took her bachelor's degree at the University of Algiers, and spent her early professional career as a language teacher, primarily in private schools. In addition to Berber, her mother tongue, Fatima is fluent in English, French, and Arabic. After emigrating to the United States in 1995, she continued her teaching career, expanding the linguistic horizons of a wide range of pupils, from nursery school students to graduate students. Ms. Mesdad became a U.S. citizen in 2009. In 2015, Fatima decided to leave the teaching profession and open a business as a baker. This transition was driven by her desire for greater personal autonomy and her realization that Concord lacked a really good croissant. Teaching is an excellent way to help your fellow humans grow, but a truly good croissant will also do the job. It was in her role as a baker that I first met Fatima. Fatima and her two sons have lived in Concord since September 2015. Her involvement in our community began almost immediately after arriving here. This year, she has been an active participant in the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, serves on the board of Concord Housing Authority, and recently joined the Allocations Committee of the Concord-Carlisle Community Chest. On the school committee, Fatima will continue to support our district to achieve and exceed the goals of its strategic plan. It is her intention, in her own words, to help our schools to continue providing a safe and empowering environment for every student to celebrate every learner in the full scope of who they are. She will place a priority on increasing staff wellness and the achievement of personal fulfillment. I believe she will not only capably address the core issues facing the school committee, she will also bring to the committee valuable elements of socioeconomic and ethnic diversity. Drawing from a different life experience, she will help the board attend to some needs that may have gone unnoticed in our schools due to stigma or lack of representation. I hope you will join me in my support of Fatima Mesdad on the caucus's vote for her school committee candidacy nomination tonight, as well as voting for her at the town's election in March. Thank you.
Do we have a second? Yes, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephen Durain. I live at 59 Martha's Point Road. I usually play basketball at the Hunt Street Gym on Monday nights, and I'm going there right afterwards, so that's why I'm so casual. It's not really anything else. It's my pleasure to second Fatima Mesdad in the attainment of position on the school committee. And following Mr. Tarpey's eloquent description of her, there's really not much more to add other than the fact that I've known Fatima for quite a while, and I think that there's something Along with the alignment of the interests of the planning board, I think that Fatima would fit right in with the plans of the town. I moved to the town in 1997 myself. I have a little bit of understanding here. But I'd like to mention her personal side. Here's a person who has set her mind to something and worked very hard and given herself and her family a very good position. And I think she has a very strong internal sense to help others. And I think I say that with my heart.
I see Casey, yeah, there. Just room for one more.
My handwriting is really bad. Thank you. I have the distinct honor to nominate my friend.
You identify yourself.
Oh, right. You'd think I'd know some of the person. My name is Casey Atkins. I'm at 27 Hawthorne Village in Concord. It is my pleasure to nominate my friend Mary Beth Cusick for school committee. I've known Mary Beth for close to 4 years now. Like many of you, we got to know each other through our children. Ours is a little different, though. We started the relationship over advocacy for continuing the inclusion model at the Concord Integrated Preschool about 4 years ago now. Our sons became best friends after that, and she and I have been working on many projects since then, both in a friendship and policy-driven way. After we were working on the long-term plan for the integrated preschool, we joined up to create a new inclusive playground at the preschool, where we raised funds and designed a new playground that would incorporate kids with different learning needs in the early stages of their educational career. From there, we also created the parent group at the integrated preschool to create a more cohesive community in the preschool in Concord. Mary Beth has since gone on to be the PTG president at Thoreau, where she started and implemented the composting initiative, as well as bringing Concord Recreation in to assist with the before and after school programming to enhance the programming and make it more accessible. Mary Beth has a long history of career in public service. She worked in the city of Boston as an attorney for the city for nearly a decade and was most recently the chief of government services in the city. So in that role, she dealt directly with public policy relating to the mayor, the cabinet, and the school committee in Boston. She's aware of the budgetary constraints and needs in a community, and she's well aware of the red tape that exists and the procedures and policies that exist government-wide as related to schools. More importantly, what I've gotten to learn about Mary Beth is she's a great friend, and we have had a great time collaborating and advocating for important needs, specifically with the community of students who are on individual education plans. She's a collaborative team player and results-oriented, and I know she cares deeply about this community and excited for a thoughtful race for school committee. Thank you.
Is there a second to that nomination?
Hi, my name is Kathleen Dehoney, 279 Hayward Mill Road, And I can follow almost directly behind Casey in that when I first met Mary Beth Cusick was actually at the superintendent meeting that we had every month for all the district-wide meeting that we had for all the PTG presidents in the district. And at that point, she was a co-president at the integrated preschool. And I didn't know her at all. She was just another person on the committee. And people sometimes just stand out. And you learned by just being in that round table all the things that had happened that she actually had to do to implement the parent association there, as Casey mentioned, the playground initiative, and all those items. And so when it came on for her she was done in the integrated preschool, she was coming to Thoreau. And I, at the time, was the PTG president at Thoreau in need of a co-president. And we were looking at the people that were currently in our school and trying to figure out who would be the right person. And she still was relatively new. I think she had a first grader there, and her son was going to be an incoming kindergartner. But without any hesitation, I asked her, and with even less hesitation, she accepted the role. And ever since then, it has just gone head first. We went into, she helped me every single day with composting at the Thoreau School, and we're now going to be reaching out to the Alcott and Willard schools doing composting. She's been also implemental in looking at putting a playground at the elementary school at Thoreau. We had some pushback initially, but with some continued work, it looks like it's something we're going to be able to do the coming year. So whenever there's a vision, she's able to, if there's a block, she's able to move ahead, work with all the different people at the school, volunteers, and just as Casey said, she's had the background outside of education to be able to pull from that to help her in all these activities. So it's with my pleasure to second the nomination of Mary Beth Cusick for school group. Thank you.
Do I hear any other nominations for school committee? Having no other nominations, is there a motion to close the nominations? Close the nomination, and is there a second to that motion? All those in favor of closing the nomination say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion carries to close the nominations. And pursuant to the earlier ruling, since there are two, those two will be considered the nominees of the caucus. I'd ask them to both please stand, Fatima and Mary Beth. If anyone who was not nominated tonight is interested in running for office, including those of you watching us from home, the last day to file nomination papers with the town clerk is Tuesday, February 11th at 5 p.m. You will need to gather at least 50 signatures of registered voters, and blank nomination papers are available in the town clerk's office. The Select Board has voted to place a 2-year vacancy on the ballot at their meeting tonight in light of Yuval Ehrlich's resignation effective March 30, 2020. Nomination papers will be available for that vacancy as well, beginning tomorrow morning. School committee, yes. The League of Women Voters will be sponsoring a candidates forum on March 15th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for all candidates running for the Concord town elections. The forum will be held at the Harvey Wheeler Community Center. It'll be videotaped and made available for viewing by Minuteman Media Network. Will all the candidates who were nominated for the caucus please come forward and speak with the town clerk before leaving to accept the nomination and collect campaign finance material. Might I have a motion to adjourn the 2020 town caucus? Second? So declared, and thank you for coming.